Okay, so a very good morning. I would like to wish to Sir Hafiz actually. Okay, so today I'm going to present on my mini project and MK30903 Cloud Infrastructure and Services. Okay, so before I start my presentation, so let me just briefly introduce myself first. My name is Lim Jia Chyin and I'm currently pursuing a bachelor degree in Electronics Engineering Technology with the major of Electronic Network Design. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at this question. Okay, so for this question, actually, I need to compose a mini project that need to revolve around the utilization of AWS services and architecture like EC2, VPC, and so on and so forth. Okay, so for this project, actually, I need to compose a concise mini project report. I will show you later on, and uh, the video presentation that I'm recording now. And yeah, so for this actually what this mini project does is we actually need to actually develop a resilient and scalable for applied scenario. Okay, so for precisely actually we need to compose and design a online voting system for a televised talent competitions. Okay, so for this actually we need to actually the system need to incorporate with those services like ELB, elastic load balancing, EC2, auto scaling, RDS, CloudWatch, and VPC. Okay, so later on in my report, I will be illustrating you on how actually these services contribute to the effective management of voting system. Okay, so yeah, this is the requirement so that I will be explaining later on in my report. Okay, so without further ado, let's move to the report section. Okay, so basically this is my mini project report. Okay, so this is my introduction. Okay, so first of all, for this voting system, I'm using the sandbox environment. Okay, so I will be just opening the sandbox environment under the AWS Academy module registered by Dr. Hafiz, and I will be launching the lab, which is just press the start lab and wait for the ready button, and I can just proceed to the AWS management console. So once I press this AWS management, it will prompt me to enter the dashboard, the AWS management console dashboard actually. Okay, so actually the first step I would like to do is creating a virtual private cloud. Okay, so this is my first step after opening the AWS management console. So I need to actually create a multiple resources, which including gateway, public subnet, private, and a single ability zone with two route table and also net gateway. Okay, so basically I need to search for the VPC under the searching box. So once it come out the isolated cloud resources, I just press in. Okay, so yeah, okay, so you can see actually this is actually the VPC dashboard. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we can explore in the left-hand navigation pane. So it includes like subnet, route table, internet gateway access, like you can see. Okay, so it actually includes a lot of things like carrier gateway. So basically what I'm doing is just dealing with creating a VPC. Okay, so once I create this VPC, you can see this VPC. Okay, so basically I just create a VPC. So from here, actually you can see if I press the VPC only, I can't even, I don't have those subnet and route table. Okay, if I create VPC and more, so I can even create subnet, route table, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I will rename my actually for this mini project as Jia Chyin mini project with IPv4 CIDR classless inter-domain routing block, which is 10.00/16, which consists of actually the 65,536 IP address with minus link to network and broadcast address, which is still have 65,534 IP address. Okay, so basically I will be choosing a availability zone. Like I mentioned just now, I will just choosing one availability zone with one public subnet and one private subnet. Okay, so basically it's just one zone with one public and one private. That's it. Okay, so okay, after this setting, actually for this public subnet, I have one public and one private light. So I will just uh, respectively assign 10.10./34 and also 10.0.1.0/24. Okay, the net gateway is not really important, but it's just like just giving you that where we need to go out for net translation. Okay, so I will be just using one, and also VPC endpoint as none. And DNS is the most important thing, domain name system, when you need to actually convert those how to say, the google.com to maybe somewhere like the address like 8.8.8. Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned just now, I will rename with one exec and tick none for VPC endpoint. Okay, so basically I will be creating this VPC. So it actually takes time. We need to take around 2 minutes to wait for it. Okay, so after that, after this VPC creating successfully, okay, so actually we can proceed to the subnet. So like I mentioned just now, we can even choose everything under this column subnet. Okay, so the left navigation plane and creating subnet. Okay, so basically I was just creating a subnet for a VPC that I created just now for Jia Chyin mini project VPC. Okay, so this is this thing VPC ID. Okay, so I will just rename it. Okay, so I will rename it as mini project lab subnet public 2. Okay, with the ability zone 1B. Okay, like I mentioned just now, I'm creating just now 10.10 point this, so I will be just using this block with another IP subnet where I'm creating the second subnet. So actually, if I would like to create two subnet, actually I can do it at the first, but uh, I can also add it on like I did this for this maybe for at first my company just need one public subnet and one private subnet, but later on they need to scalable to two subnet or everything. Okay, so actually I can compose here, so I rename this as mini project lab subnet public 2 with 10.0.2.0/24 with this IPv4 CIDR block. Okay, so basically my public subnet 2 actually create successfully, so you can see the notification green top here. Okay, so you can see the banner here. Okay, so yeah, so you can see actually the creation in still in process where I create for another private. So same steps goes to just now, like just the name is different and the subnet is different. So just now is 2, right? So now will be 3. Okay, so actually it's still same. Okay, like this. Okay, so after I have created everything, so I would like to edit for the subnet association. So I will be undering route table, and I will just straight go to link my private one and private two together. Okay, so you can see I need to link those private one I create just now and private two I create at the first. So I will save this association, and same goes to public. Okay, so yeah, so actually for VPC is until here. Okay, so after this I will be creating the security group. So actually it's also under VPC, but it's not under the configuration services. Okay, so for VPC I will actually creating a VPC group which act as a virtual firewall. We also call it as internal firewall. So when launching those instance, actually we need to actually associate with one more security group with the instances. So actually we can actually allow or deny the traffic. Okay, so for the security group, same goes to we need to press the security group and create the security group at this yellow button. Okay, so from here actually you can see for the security group, I'm creating a mini project web security group, which is the name, and I will be enable the HTTP access where I'm just doing for HTTP, and I will link it with the VPC I've created just now. So actually the VPC is a very core thing because I need to link everything together. Later on you can see for EC2, for web security services, web security group, everything it need the how to say, the network. Okay, so from here actually you can see I can even set the inbound route or outbound route. Inbound route means that our inside need to go to outside. With is it allow or not allow? So we can set it. Maybe for HTTP there are still a lot of choices. HTTP, ICMP, TCP, UDP. So we can ever set everything. So you can see the here we allow the source or anything. So actually it's a very useful tool because it's somewhere how to say if we need to use the Cisco, actually we need to do the command line. So it's a very actually a complicated thing, but here we can just click everything. Okay, so we can set the HTTP. For here I set HTTP with the default protocol TCP and port range active with the source anywhere. Okay, so basically for outbound I didn't assign everything. Okay, so I created the security group successfully. Okay, so for the fourth step, I will be creating a DB subnet group. Okay, so for DB, it stands for database. Okay, so I will be using RDS services, like I mentioned just now in the question. Okay, so in this step, actually, I will be creating a DB subnet group that is used to tell the RDS actually which subnet is actually can be used or may be used by the database. Okay, so this subnet group actually require a subnet in at least two availability zone. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so in the service box I mentioned just now, just go for the RDS section. Okay, relational database service under the service box. Okay, so you can see actually there's a this is the dashboard. Okay, so for RDS dashboard you can see actually there's a lot of things include dashboard, database, query editor, and so on and so forth. So for this, I'm going straight forward to the subnet group since I'm going to create a DB subnet group. Okay, so for this, I'm going to create a DB subnet group like through the yellow button. Okay, so you can see actually for the creating, it seems goes to the process. It needs the name and a description. So you can see actually it's a very systematic progress. Okay, so it will call you to name a name, the description, and also link the VPC. Okay, so you can see it's also the same process. So I name it as DB subnet mini project with the description DB subnet group and also link it with the VPC. Okay, so basically, yeah, you can see actually I renamed the DB subnet and link with the VPC created just now. Okay, so basically, yeah, I will be choosing the availability zone 1 and 2 and those subnet I created just now. Okay, so I created this DB subnet actually successfully. Okay, so for the step 5, so actually I'm going to those to see the instances where I will be creating, configuring, and launching the multi-asset Amazon RDS deployment for my SQL database instance. Okay, so basically I will be creating a database type where you can see this from here is database where I can create a database type. Okay, so from here you can see actually once I press this yellow button, so I would just proceed to the database creation method where I choose the standard create for this easy create and standard create, which means that actually more for standard create I can do more actually for more like configuration like availability, security, and also backup and maintenance. Okay, so basically I'm using standard create, and for engine type I chose my SQL for my engine. Okay, there are still a lot, MariaDB, Oracle, and so on and so forth. Okay, so for template I'm using dev.test. Okay, so there are still production free tire. Okay, so for this I'm configuring this single DB instance as this availability. Okay, so for this setting, DB identifier, like I mentioned just now, it needs the name. Okay, so for database, it's a very special thing where we need username and also password to access this thing. So I will be configuring the master username and also the password. Okay, so for instant configuration, as mentioned in the question, I need to choose the dbt3.medium. Okay, so yeah, for storage, as mentioned in the question also, I need to choose the general purpose SSD GP2 for storage and 100 GIB for this database. Okay, so for connectivity, like I mentioned just now, that is very useless if it does not interconnect with each other. Okay, so actually we need to actually connect those compute services with those VPC. So you can see actually I link it with the VPC service and with the DB subnet mini project that I created just now. Okay, so yeah, this it. So I choose the mini project web security group, which I created it just now. Okay, so next I will be choosing the untick the enhanced monitoring additional under additional configuration. Okay, so it will be a very how to say a consuming bandwidth for it. Okay, next for this database option, I'm going to create for the initial database name, which name it as mini project. Okay, so basically for this, I'm going to use the default parameter, which is default MySQL 8.0, and you can see from here is actually for rename the database as LAMP and uncheck those automatic backup and encryption. So from here actually you can see everything. Okay, so for this I have actually successfully created those database services. Okay, so next for the step 6, I will be launching a web server instance where this is the most important thing, which is the compute services, where I will be using EC2 services, configuring those instance to act as a web server. Okay, so you can see this is EC2 under the search box. Okay, so from here actually you can see it's a launch instance. Okay, it's basically we need to, this is the EC2 dashboard where we need to do the launch instance. From here actually we can see we will launch the instance on the EC2 dashboard. So yeah, so for this EC2 I name my server as voting server 1. Okay, so as per request in the question, I need to compute an online voting system. Okay, so I name it as voting server 1. Okay, so for this, I'm choosing the Amazon Linux 2023 AMI with 64-bit architecture. Okay, so for the instance type, I'm choosing T2.small, where it's just for T2 family with 2 GB memory and also those things. Okay, so for key pair, I'm using for key RSA. Okay, so regarding to the network setting, actually I'm dealing with the VPC, which is the Jia Chyin mini project VPC I mentioned just now, where I link everything in the VPC subnet and choosing in the firewall security group at here. Okay, so basically I'm using everything. I link my VPC here. I choose my link my web security here and everything. So after that, I will be launched the instance. So for here, actually the voting server one, actually it already attached with, how to say, the web security group and also the VPC. Okay, so from here actually you can see for the voting server one, actually I'm dealing with the image, where I will be creating image through the image and template under action type. Okay, so you can see for the create image, I'm going to create an image with is voting server 1 with AMI voting server 1. Okay, so from here actually I'm create one image personally, and yeah, you can see actually this is created successfully. Okay, so regarding to the next step, I'm going to create, like I mentioned in the question, elastic load balancer. Okay, so basically I will be dealing with the Amazon ELB. Okay, so from here actually, or you can just go forward the target groups. In this step, actually, I will take on the first step to create this target group first. Then only I will be creating a load balancer that can balance the traffic across the multiple EC2 and the availability zone. Okay, so from here, actually, you can see I'm entering the target group under the load balancing at the left navigation plane. So from here, actually, you can see a lot. There's a load balancing. Okay, so I will just proceed to the target group to create a target group. Okay, so for this, I'm going to create a basic configuration, which is the instances. You can see I'm specifying the basic configuration with, how to say, a target group name as Jia Chyin group with protocol HTTP as 80, and IP, I am using IPv4 with the VPC like I mentioned just now. I create what? I will link everything with it. So for the target, I will just proceed. I will reviewing everything before I launch the load balancer. Okay, so you can see actually this target group is successfully created. Okay, so for this load balancer services, actually, I'm using the ELB services. You can see actually the load balancer. I will just go to load balancer and create this load balancing services. So for load balancer, you will be choosing the application load balancer or network balancer or gateway balancer. There's still a lot of things, but for this, I'm focused on HTTP and HTTPS. So I'll be just focusing on application load balancer. Okay, so after I have select the application load balancer, I need to actually create a load balancer name that I mentioned just now. Everything there's a system, we need a name. Okay, so we just create application load balancer with the name as Jia Chyin ELB. Okay, so next but not least, so we are still going to the network mapping, which is the, like I mentioned just now, we need to link everything. So we will link the VPC together with those the VPC I created just now, and also mappings like subnet, everything, availability zones. Okay, so and the security group is the most important, where I will be controlling the HTTP type of service. Okay, protocol. Okay, so this is the actually the summary I created just now. So you can see at the bottom of the page. So actually it consists of basic configuration, security group, and network mappings, and also listener and also routing. Okay, so this is the reviewing everything. So next you can see actually the application load balancer. I'm dealing actually is successful created for this Jia Chyin ELB. Okay, so next I'm going to create for the auto scaling part, where I will be launching the template and launch the create a auto scaling group. Okay, so this is the next step, where I will be creating and launch my template for my auto scaling group. So actually for this is the template, actually the auto scaling group used to launch the EC2 instances. So when I create and launch this template, I need to specify those maybe AMI, instant type, keypad, and security group. Okay, so from here actually you can see I'm launching the template. So since go back to this process, I need to do the name. I name is a judge in config and everything. I use the AMI, which is currently in use for this Amazon AMI. And yeah, this is Amazon Linux 2023. And for this instant time, I'm going to record for the T2 micro. Okay, so yeah, for this, I'm going to deal with T2 micro just now, the small, right? So this is T2 micro, and the keypad seems also RSA key. Okay, so for the network setting, actually I'm dealing with the security group. Okay, so seems it still need to link the everything, create VPC, link the web security group, and also link the anything you have created just now in one server. Okay, so for this advanced setting, actually I need to enable CloudWatch monitoring as mentioned in the question mini project. Okay, this is the template. So for this, actually I have launched the template, and I need to actually now only create the auto scaling group. Okay, so for this auto scaling group, actually I'm dealing with this. You can see this is auto scaling group. Okay, so I name it as judging auto scaling group, and you can see those template I'm created just now, where judging config is the template I created just now, and I will choose the network, obviously. Okay, so for this, it's optional, like I mentioned just now. If I'm choosing a load balancer, so I will just attach it. If not, I just using no. Okay, so I will just attach to existing I created just now for the HTTP ELB I created just now. So link this together so that it can function in the auto scaling group. Okay, so this is no. Okay, so for this, I mentioned just now, I need to enable the metrics CloudWatch so that I can actually monitor how the things goes on. So for this, actually, I need to rename the scaling policy as Jia Chyin policy with the average of CPU utilization. Okay, so for this is the last step. Once I creating this successfully, so it will prompt me to the next step, which I need to add the name, the key, and the value. So I name is the key as name and the value as lab instance. Okay, so the step 9. So once I done everything, so the things that I need to come to the final step is verifying whether it works or not. Okay, so I will be verifying the load balancing first. Okay, so from here actually I can just go here and see the Jia Chyin group. So from here actually we can see, yeah, it's function and it's still under initialize. Okay, so yeah, I successfully create these two instances. Okay, so you can see actually it prompt out this thing, which is I can even access the DNS load balancer under these detail planes, where it's just current with I can see the load, whether it's heavy or not heavy. Okay, so regarding to the step 10, the test scaling group, actually for this I need to use and create those auto scaling group with 2 instance and maximum 6 instance. So that actually there's 2 instance because the minimum size is 2. So for this actually I can create everything. So for CloudWatch, I just search for the CloudWatch under the search bar. So it prompt out this dashboard. So for this I can just go to alarm part. So you can see this is the alarm. So you can see there's the two thing. So actually this is automatically created by scaling group. Okay, so you can see I can also review the scaling group and also edit it. Okay, so everything I can do it like target value for 50, 60, 100 and so on and so forth. Okay, so once I edit, you can see actually the alarm is having how to say having refresh in the refresh state. So just now it's okay and a warning, right? So now it's still in progress. Okay, so you can see actually I'm generating the CPU so that you can see it's high load. Okay, so this is actually I generate myself. Okay, so next is monitoring my instance. Okay, so for this actually I'm playing a vital role in maintaining the reliability and availability and also performance of EC2. So for this, actually, I can even monitor everything for the CloudWatch metrics. Okay, so for instance, I can press the voting server one, and under monitoring tab, I can see everything: the CPU utilization, network out, packet in the cloud, and everything. Okay, so last but not least, it's time to terminate the instance. So once I have verified everything is work, so I will straight terminate the voting server. And yeah, so it's come to the end of the lab. Okay, so basically this is actually the architecture diagram I have did for previous 40 pages. Okay, so yeah, I have this ability zone, I have this uh, public to private, and also the security group, and also the scaling group, and also the load balancer. Okay, so basically this is the overall thing that I conduct for my online voting system. Okay, so this is the conclusion. So actually I'm very happy and very delighted. Actually, I have successfully conduct this mini project, and with those by leveraging those amazing services to architect actually a resilient and also scalable voting system. So it's a quite challenges for a newbie, but we need to know our technology and our era is moving towards that cloudification. Okay, so with those services, actually, I learned a lot from ELB, EC2, auto scaling, RDS, CloudWatch, VPC. So actually, I learned a lot, and it's a very wider wider experience for me. And I hope that I may utilize this knowledge after I go out to work. Okay, so I think that's it from me. Okay, thank you, Dr. Hafiz, for listening to me. Okay, so thank you.